Hey everybody, today I'll be making a build video for the Combat Readiness Gunlancer, also known as Blue Gunlancer. I've never made a build video before, so bear with me and feel free to leave any comments below on suggestions or improvements. This video will be focusing on pre-Valtan content on the NA or EU servers, so I'll just be focusing on content that is attainable for us at the moment, and I'll make another video later updating it with the next patches. So without further ado, let's get into it. Starting off, let's talk about our stat distribution. For Blue Gunlancer, you're going to want to go Specialization and Crit. Specialization being your main stat, and Crit being your substat. Spec increases the damage of all of our basic skills, or blue skills, by a percentage amount. It increases the size of our shield by a percentage amount, and increases the gain of our specialty meter. Overall, all three good options for Blue Gunlancer, since we are trying to be shielded 100% of the time and are focusing on all of our blue skills for damage. The extra crit that we get from just our necklace is pretty nice. Since crit is a 2x modifier, it allows us to get a little bit more damage out of our skills and allows us to see bigger numbers. Now let's move on to engravings. For engravings, our first engraving that we take is Combat Readiness level 1. This engraving increases the damage of all of our skills that are considered normal skills, and for Blue Gunlancer, that's all of our blue skills. This also increases our shield amount by 30% when defensive stance is toggled on. Thirdly, it grants us a stacking buff of 4% damage done for 10 seconds while in defensive stance after being hit. That stacks up to 3 times, once every 1 second. So overall, that's a 32% damage increase while in defensive stance, just for having Combat Readiness at level 1. You're probably wondering why we don't take it to level 3, and the reason is because the nodes are best spent elsewhere. At level 3, Combat Readiness grants you an additional 20% shield and an additional 6% damage done. We're currently in the NA patch, you can get 4 level 3 engravings and 1 level 1 engraving. So leaving Combat Readiness 1 allows us to maximize our engravings elsewhere. For our second and third engraving, we take Barricade and Grudge. Barricade gives us 16% more damage while shielded. Grudge gives you 20% more damage to bosses. So with this, you want to make sure that you always have defensive stance active to maintain that 16% damage. For our last 2 engravings, we take Adrenaline and Cursed-Doll. Adrenaline gives us an additional 6% attack power and 15% crit when it's 6 stacks, and that gives us just a little bit more crit to be able to hit some of those bigger numbers. Cursed-Doll gives us an additional 16% attack power. I currently have move speed reduction at level 1, as I really don't see a point in investing in a better rock or a better ring to get rid of that negative, as it's only 2%. Ideally, no negatives is the way to go. I know making a setup like this is expensive, so if you can't do it, just set up your engravings like this. Combat Readiness 1, Barricade 3, with a combo of Grudge 3, Adrenaline 3, or Cursed-Doll 3. Prioritize Combat Readiness and Barricade. Let's move on to gems. For Blue Gunlancer, you want to make sure that you take the damage and cooldown gems for your most important skills. I would prioritize gems in the order of Guardian's Thunderbolt, Leap Attack, Shield Charge, Bash, and Shield Bash. Once you have those finished, feel free to fill out your last slot with something like cooldown for Nalasia's energy. I know gems are RNG a lot of the time, so what I did was sell any level 5 gem that I got and put that gold towards buying a gem for the skill that I wanted from the auction house. On NA East, I got my level 5 gems for somewhere around 1.5 gold each. The level 7s are obviously a little more expensive. For card sets, we want to go for the Lost Wind Cliff set at Awakening level 12, as it grants us 7% crit rate. If you don't have this yet, feel free to use Field Boss 2 or the Farewell Weapon set for the 12% max HP. Next up is gear sets. So at 1370, you'll start doing Argos, and that'll give you the ability to use Argos blood as a crafting material at the Craft Abyss equipment vendor. The 5-piece set on your body that you'll be wanting to go for is the Preordained Diligence set. The 2-piece set grants us a stacking bonus of solar power. that is 3% crit on hit that stacks up to 5 times. When at 5 stacks, this buff is converted into midday, which grants you 25% crit. So 25% crit when fully stacked. The 5-piece bonus says that when midday is active and you are near someone with a harsh oath 5-piece active, you gain total solar eclipse, which is an additional 25% crit and 50% crit damage for 15 seconds. And your weapon is you're going to want to make the chosen gunlance. The only reason is because the chosen weapon is cheaper to craft multiple in order to get high quality than it is to make an Argos weapon. So let's talk about crit percentage for a second. Blue Gunlancer doesn't build crit as its primary stat, so we need to get it elsewhere. I mentioned all those sources already, but let's recap it. You get crit from your necklace, you get crit from adrenaline, you get crit from Lost Wind Cliff, and you get crit from your preordained set. That's all around 65% total crit rate when fully buffed. So we don't need to worry about building any extra crit. Now let's talk about skills and tripods. So this is my setup at 363 skill points. And go ahead and leave a comment if you want to set up for people at 252 skill points. To start off, we're going to start off with Guardian's Thunderbolt. This is your highest damaging skill. You want this at level 10. And for tripods, you want Damage Luck, Tough Strike, and Lightning Stalk. Gale Wind Rune is recommended. Next up, we have Leap Attack. This is another one of our highest damaging skills, and you want this at level 10 with tripods Direct Hit, Electric Field, and Low Shock. Low Shock converts the skill into a combo, so make sure to use it as so. Gale Wind Rune is recommended. Dash Up for Fire is your main counter skill with mid to high stagger. You want this at level 7, and tripods you want either Quick Prep for a faster cooldown or Ready Attack. And weak point detection, where Overwhelm Rune is recommended. Bash is your debuff and buff skill. You want this at level 7 with tripods Armor Destruction and Ready Attack. Bleed Rune is recommended. Make sure to note that if you take the Ready Attack tripod for Dash Up or Fire, they do not stack, but they can be used in conjunction with one another. Shield Bash is your buff skill with decent damage, and you want this at level 10 with tripods Nimble Movement, Weak Point Detection, and additional hit. Quick Recharge Rune is recommended. Note that this is a combo skill. Shout of Hatred is your specialty meter gaining skill. Taunt and buff skill for the group. You want this at level 10 with tripods Quick Prep, Shield, and Open Weakness. Focus Rune is recommended if you have mana problems. Note that you cannot gain specialty meter if you use this skill while defensive stance is active, so make sure to toggle defensive stance off before casting it, like so. Shield Charge is another one of your DPS skills. You want it at level 10 with tripods Enhanced Strike, Shield or Quick Pace, and Destruction Charger. Gale Wind Rune is recommended. Note that this is a holding skill. Lastly, you have a flex slot. For group content, I like using Elasia's Energy at level 10 with tripods Quick Prep, Effectiveness, or Shout of Purification when a cleanse is required, and Survive. Focus Rune is recommended. Feel free to use what you like in your current situation for this slot, like Surge Cannon or Shield Shock. Overall, I think the Gunlancer is a pretty easy and fun class to play while also providing group utility with buffs and debuffs and good damage. So I think that pretty much wraps up the video, guys. Make sure to comment anything you think would be an important improvement for next time. And make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. See ya.